All right, what's up, good people? It's your boys, the Beards of War, back again. Got myself, Thick Nick Fury, FBR for President, Fat Broken Rambo, Light It Up, Scorched Earth, and behind the scenes, hey, Captain Jack. So, really quick, happy Veterans Day. Welcome to our Veterans Day show. We got a good one for you. We've been looking forward to this movie for quite a while. I think since what,
Yes.
1987? Yeah, okay. Um, so, Predator Badlands, all right, playing now in theaters. Check it out. Great film. I think we enjoyed it. I can say collectively at the Beard of War, we went over to our AMC theater and checked it out together as a group, and we enjoyed it. So I'm gonna let our Rambo kick us off. What you got, FBR?
Yeah, man. Happy Veterans Day to all the vets out there, active duty, National Guard, reservists. Thank you for what you guys continue to do. We did our time, and we're still hanging out. So you guys need some lessons learned or some really old wisdom? Let us know. Nobody said nobody. Anyways, so we're talking Badlands, man. So I'm super ecstatic to talk about this. I thought the film was great. Bottom line up front, there were a couple things that were kind of off-putting to me, and honestly, like they were so small, it doesn't even really register on the radar. We'll tell you what, they're coming off of a premiere weekend. Global box office has it at Box Office Mojo's got it $81 million on a worldwide scale, which is absolutely huge for 20th Century Fox, who is owned by Disney. But for the Predator franchise as a whole, because I think it's probably some of the best numbers that they've ever seen from a Predator film opening weekend. It is rated PG-13, but I would caveat this: there's a significant amount of violence in this film. I would argue that the reason why the MPAA gave it a PG-13 is because there's actually no human beings. So, spoiler alert, they're all synthetics from Weyland-Yutani. But that does not stop a lot of brutality on them robots, man, and it's great. So it kind of kicks off on what is it, Yacha Prime, Homeland of the or Homeworld of Predators. If you guys saw Killer of Killers that came out this summer on Hulu, Dan Trachtenberg directed that as well. We kind of got to see that a little bit, the whole like Coliseum gladiatorial phase of that film. You see that here. I'm assuming that's the same Grendel King who is the father of our main antagonist Dex, right? Dex.
Yeah.
Deck. So he is kind of like the runt of the Predator clan. He is base. The movie had opened up previously with him and his brother kind of like duking it out for dominance, and like this really kind of cool action-packed sequence involving a cave. And we fast forward to this moment where like Dad, the Grendel King, comes out and he's like, "Hey, Dex is a runt. He's not a good predator. He's not a good hunter. He hasn't passed any tests." And so they're just like, "Fuck it, we're gonna kill him." So they move to execute him. The brother rebels against the dad, costs him his life, but he sends Deck on a mission to take on the greatest hunt, even the one that apparently his father, the Grendel King, is uh, concerned about or afraid of, the Kalisk, which is on this horrific planet that we're about to all be jettisoned off to here shortly. And he's got to hunt this unkillable beast. And so basically, the movie pivots right from that. He crash lands on this land or on this planet, and everything is out to kill him, man. It's pretty awesome. It reminded me, like his landing reminded me of Rambo First Blood Part Two. You know, when John Jay is getting all this cool guy kit, and he's like, "Oh man, 80s style. Here's the laser pointer on his MP5 that is completely useless in the jungle." Um, all kinds of like cool shit. And you're just like, "Oh man, it's gonna be good. I get to see John Rambo do some shit." And then he loses it all in landing. No kidding. The same thing, same exact shit happens in this movie. The only thing he maintains is his sword. Like even the bow, like the bow gets taken by the plant thing. You don't actually ever get to see him use it aside from when he does a test fire, I think, if I remember correctly. And then, like he is trying to make his way through all the obstacles and all the dangers and perils that this planet has while he's trying to find this Kalisk, has no idea what it looks like, and he stumbles across our co-star to the film, Ella Fanning. She plays dual roles. She plays Thea, and I forget what the other one
I think
is.
like Tess or something like that.
Tessa.
Tess.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like twin
Yeah.
droids.
Spoiler alert, one's good, one's bad. This is the good one. She's cut in half, and she does the whole C-3PO Chewbacca scene for like the pretty much the next hour of the film. So, Scorch, I'll pass it off to you, man. What you got?
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie. Yeah, a couple minor things for me as well. I wish there was, some more Beast, a few more Beasts that they showed on there, and then some more unique Predator weapons would have been good. But short of that, I thought it was a great flick. They did a really good job with the CGI, as you mentioned. Just phenomenal. I will say I was pleasantly surprised. I was kind of going into this apprehensive, like, man, they're gonna mess this up. They're gonna mess it up, and they ended up doing a really good job, especially for a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
I would say, like you mentioned, or alluded to, it was close to the line. And had there been blood, yeah, it would have been a wrap. It would have been
Oh,
an R
100%.
rated. But I can only imagine what they do with an R rated one, right? But yeah, good movie overall, and it left you to some degree with a bit of a cliffhanger on what may come next at the end. So, is there going to be another? I would fathom a guess that there will be, given the amount of attention this movie's gotten so far, the numbers they're doing so early on, and how good a quality it was. I really don't have anything bad to say about it, man. I think they did an outstanding job. Outstanding job.
Yeah, man. Overall, like I agree with you guys. Very good film. It is. He is definitely different than the previous Predators that we've seen, which, in my theory, is what kind of leads him to being that runt, right? Because he doesn't have that killer instinct. He doesn't have that I don't care. Like you can see that he does have some care. There is something deeper inside of him rather than just kill the next, being. So that allows him to kind of humanize himself toward Thea and the little kiosk, whatever you kiosk, yeah, whatever. The little furry
Kiosk.
Monster friend he finds, he befriends,
Oh,
you know,
Bud.
yeah, little buddy, like
Yeah.
Mac and me or whatever. And
Oh, good. Nice and nice
you
reference.
like it.
Good Lord.
But yeah, so it was kind of
So
like
terrible.
you just see where the differences lie. Because I'm just
Yeah.
used to those predators being straight up bad at, like you're not reasoning with a predator. Like you would never think to approach a predator in any fashion because they have nothing to say and they have one mission. Apparently his was different, right? He wanted to be accepted, which basically kind of took away that killer instinct, so to speak, because now he's trying to be accepted. So he has a different goal in mind rather than just destroy what's out there. And I think, like I said, that would kind of humanizes us to the predator. The relationship that he kind of forges with, Thea and his little buddy. And like I said, that the fight sequences you got like a lot of what green or white blood instead of blood, like green and white, whatever the insides are, droids always seem to be the same color, like white or green or whatever. And I kind of you get that from like G.I. Joe. We talked about this, like G.I. Joe the movie. Like Duke took a serpent like a spear straight to the heart. And I was like,
He's
wow,
in a
that's the first
coma.
time they've punctured anything outside of a battle android trooper. Like those were the only things that would get blown up. It was either something that a machine you were in or a battle android trooper. They couldn't hit the broadside of a barn when it came to anything else. But when it came to those, they were killing them, heads being blown off and everything. So it kind of took a page out of that, and that's how you make
Yeah.
a R-rated film into PG-13. You just change those little nuances, and they did it well. Like I said, the action sequences are pretty good. There's a sequence where she like he's like looking for her legs, right? Literally, she couldn't have. So he's carrying her around like Chewbacca did C-3PO in Star Wars. If you've seen it, you know. And when she finds the legs, and we talked about this, there was a perfect opportunity to play Legs by ZZ Top because the legs are in there literally just killing androids by themselves. And I'm like, oh man, that would have been so epic. Like, sometimes you just need those little pieces of comedy to really bring home a scene and make it memorable. Like that would have made that scene so much more memorable because every time you hear that song now, you're gonna picture these legs going through killing these androids by themselves. And it was a good scene. It was something you hadn't seen before. I know I've never seen anything like that before. But overall, good action sequences. I do like, the way he kind of went organic with his armor and his weaponry because that's really all he had left.
Yeah, it was
And I
really
just
good.
thought, yeah, I thought that was really good at the end and kind of
They
forced
got
that
they got really
bond.
creative with that too. Like we talked about the eel, like kind of like rep or eel snake thing that spits acid venom.
Hmm.
Like acting has his impromptu, like natural, like shoulder cannon. I thought it was really kind of cool, man. The one negative I would take away from this is that let me preface this first is that I love the fact that we took a movie and decided to be like, hey man, like let's dedicate this to the Predator and see like let's put ourselves in his shoes. Like there's been enough iterations of this basic storyline over the years where I think they've done a really good job. I thought it was a gutsy swing to do this, and I think it's going to pay off for them. I grew up reading the comic books, the Dark Horse comic books, Alien versus Predator back in the 90s. This felt to me like the beginning stages of a version of that storyline where a predator and a human being in that storyline kind of linked up. I'm not talking an abysmal like translation of Alien vs Predator and Alien vs Predator Requiem. We've already had those. Those are god awful movies. But I think that you'll have Tessa. Is it Tessa or Tia? Anyways, the good
Yeah.
one.
Hmm.
Tia. Thank you. Jesus,
The Good
I'll get this
Witch.
right. One of these days I'll get it. Thanks,
Linda.
buddy. Yes, her. So her partnering with him, I think that shows a really kind of a cool dynamic that's gonna be beneficial moving forward. The only thing I would caution is like if they're building this shared universe, if like Alien Earth and Romulus are all going to take in this same shared universe, Trachtenberg's already came out and said that Badlands takes place. He's like even past Alien Resurrection, so that's like 200 years plus Alien Resurrection. So that's the furthest future film that we've had between these two storylines or characters, whatever you want to call them, the monsters. So seeing them kind of like collide, my only concern is Badlands had a little bit of humor that I felt sometimes worked and sometimes really didn't work. It's not terrible. It To me, it kind of messed with immersion a little bit here and there because the Predator is a very serious, stoic kind of character. But you saw a lot more insights into this one than you do the others, and there are storylines in the comics about like bad blood predators that kind of like leave away from the clan standard, SOPs and stuff like that, and they go off and do their own thing. So like, not saying it can't exist. I'm just saying like the maturity and the seriousness of the predators and the aliens, I would like to see them kind of like bring that back a little bit more tighter than Bud, which still worked in this film. Like I said, that's my one gripe, man. The end sequences, we find out the Kalisk is regenerative. So when Deck in his badass moment of glory kills this thing by cutting it in half from like neck to nuts, um,
Right.
it just comes back, man. Chops its head off, comes back, and you're just like, so Wayland Utani wants it for that. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see where that like tidbit of information goes into the whole greater universe.
Mm-hmm.
And then he is captured and he becomes a secondary target of opportunity by Wayland is to scoop up a predator that they can use and experiment on.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
thought it was really well done, man, and I like the ending when they get to go back to Yautja Prime and face down the dad. I wasn't expecting that to be that lengthy of a scene. I really enjoyed it, and yeah,
Yeah.
we have the twist ending at the the technically after credit scene that takes place like a second after it cuts to black. That might be pretty interesting to see where they go with that storyline too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do like the part, like you said, when he cuts it in half and it like regenerates. And at that moment, it reminded me of Blade and Deacon Frost, right? In the first Blade
Oh yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah.
And he cuts him in half and he's like, fuck. Like that would have been perfect if they could have got Predator mouth those words. But yeah, I mean, like I said, great movie. And then, the female of the species is more deadlier than the male, if you know what I mean. So
Well,
Mama's
we'll
showing
see.
up. It looks like Mom Dukes.
Yeah.
Mom Dukes is coming. So is Mom Dukes on the son side or is she gonna be on the hubby side? So we'll find out with the
Yeah,
next
we'll
one. And I
see.
do
I
think
think.
also, yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I could say. I think Wayland. Utani's got. They have a history of jacking it up, right? Every time they try and catch something, get something, bring it back, it gets loose. It kills population. Somebody uses it on some desolate planet. So I think even with this, they get it. They're gonna jack it up. They're not gonna get it back. It's gonna not saying that a movie is going to be jacked up because of that, but that's kind of the never ending story for them. To flip a pun, but they're constantly jacking it up, man. They never get it right. I don't know what's going on with you guys over at Utami, but
And they
you,
keep
you
getting
might
funding.
want to. Yeah, I mean
Somebody's funding it,
unlimited funding because it's
like
all
Cobra.
it's all hinged on this. What if we get it back? Then it'll be worth so much. And it's kind of like that. Remember the comic book, right?
Cobra.
What if?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a bunch of what
Exactly.
ifs. You're like, what in the world is going on here? It's kind of interesting because you're intrigued by what's going on. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really feel bad for them, but I kind of feel bad for them. They never accomplished the mission. You
Never
guys
get
kind
it
of
right.
suck.
I'm just saying because Marvel owns or Disney owns Marvel now too. So what if we did like a what if where it's like Guardians of the Galaxy versus Predator versus
Mm,
Xenomorph? Like I'd
why
watch
not?
that.
Well,
Yeah,
because
why not?
Disney's in on it, it's gonna suck. So I,
Well,
I
Disney
mean,
was in on this one.
yeah, you know
And
what?
Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Yeah, but you know what they do
That's a
say, right?
one off on that one for sure.
Yeah,
I know.
Except for
Well, you know what I'm
Fox.
not opposed to also, like
here's
if you have a
the
PG-13 film,
a
like
broken
graduate to
clock.
rated R
A broken clock is right twice a
yeah,
day. So
twice
there's
a
your
day.
two. They ain't gonna get no more.
Yeah, really only one because it's AM and PM, so you can't be rate all the.
No,
But
I mean
yeah,
the
but
time's right, just the time of day.
right. So so it's like I'm not opposed to graduating with a movie, right? Like people who are watching this movie now, okay, if you're really sticking to the PG-13 thing, and the next movie comes out 2, 3 years. All right, let's bump it up to rated R because the people who saw the PG-13 are now 17, 18 years old. So let's ramp it up a bit. I'm not opposed to that. We don't have to keep it PG-13. Sometimes it's okay to get a little dark, from here and
Yeah.
there. But
It
I'm
just
not opposed
matters
to
of
that.
how you balance that tone though, because like
Right.
that does matter. Because if you set the tone in one direction and you go in another direction, I'll give you Terminator 2 versus Terminator 3. It's almost scene by scene a lineup, and then they got goofy with the humor in part three. Like I remember when he
Yeah.
walks into the gas station and
Mhm.
he's got that scene where he's like putting on sunglasses and he comes out with the hot pink star sunglasses, and it's kind of like making
Right.
fun of the second one. He's like, talk to the hand. I'm like, dude, come on, man.
I know. I
Like
know.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm
that,
saying. Let's go the other way.
it's a movie about a
Let's
nuclear apocalypse and you're making fucking jokes about it right now. It just doesn't land. Like, read the room, bro.
Yeah. At this point, it's funny, right? At this point, it's like, all right,
Well,
so how
now
many
it
times are you gonna
is.
come back and fix this? Because
Yeah.
you can't fix it. Like they already said, you can't stop the apocalypse, or you can't stop, Skynet.
Yeah.
Uh, all
And to
right.
get that movie had probably one of the gutsiest endings I've ever seen in a sci-fi franchise ever. They
Yeah.
still let it all happen. Like that is a
Agreed.
redeeming factor of Terminator 3 is that like the end still occurs. I'm just like that takes a lot of guts to do that.
Right. Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
no right answer. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it comes out as many times as you want. It's still gonna happen. So, yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, Predator Badlands, man, I give it a thumbs up. I say check it out if you haven't seen it already.
Absolutely.
Check it out. Definitely come back. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know in the comments. So interact with us, man. We definitely try to interact with you guys. We always answer back if we can. Um, um, that's really all I got for Badlands.
Yeah.
Anybody got any caveats? All
No,
right,
no,
all
I'm
right. So
good.
really quick before we get into our Veterans Day um, preferences or choices or recommendations,
Recommendations.
let's get into a poll. We did our Denzel Washington Spotlight poll,
Hell
and we
yeah.
gave you 4 movies. And here's the thing, like we said, Denzel's portfolio is huge. Okay, we understand that. But the 4 movies that we went with were American Gangster,
Yeah.
Flight, Fences, and Inside Man. And with 69% of the vote, American Gangster far and away, followed by Flight at 34%. Inside Man and Fences got like 1 vote each, so at 3%.
Damn.
All still great films. All great films. What we will probably try to do later on is put American Gangster up against Training Day, up against Book of Eli, up against Man on Fire.
Yeah,
See if
man,
it
we can
still
bracket
holds that
this shit.
69%. Yeah, so we'll come back to it. But with that being said, man, let's get into these Veterans Day recommendations. Rambo, you want to go first?
Sure, man. So I'm gonna pitch you guys an older movie, 1970, right? So this is a movie that me and my father kind of grew up watching together. Like, so it's one of those near and dear to my hearts. It's an all-star cast for back in the day. It's got Clint Eastwood, Telly Savalas, Don Rickles, a bunch of other dudes. But most importantly, man, it's got one of the greatest actors, one of my personal all-time favorites, Donald Sutherland, plays a tank commander, enlisted guy named Oddball, who's like faking like mental health injuries, so he doesn't have to go back to the front because him and his guys have gotten their asses kicked since they landed on the beaches in Normandy. Like the whole unit, like so he's part of the armor element, and then Clint Eastwood and the guys are all part of an infantry unit. Don Rickles plays the supply guy. You guys have ever been around supply folks? Don Rickles nails it. Anyways, they come up with this plan because Clint Eastwood plays a former platoon leader who gets the wrong order, gets demoted to E1, and so he doesn't give a shit anymore, right? So this is like 1944, and he comes across a German intelligence officer who is smuggling bars, and they're gold bars. Finds out the Germans actually have a ton of gold bars stored in this bank that's like 20 miles behind enemy lines. So Clint Eastwood, in true fashion, puts together this like assault force of dudes that want to go rip off the German army and steal this fucking gold. And then they got to compete because they got to breach the lines. And once they breach the lines, the general played by Carol O'Connor from In the Heat of the Night starts ordering all the guys. He's like, "Oh, these guys are fucking tired of sitting around in the lines." And he's like, "Charge, let's go!" So they got the American allies on their ass trying to like. They think they're trying to breach just because they want to end the war and they're just like aggressive soldiers. These guys just actually just want to rob the Germans, which is absolutely fucking hilarious. It's about 2.5 hours long. All practical effects. If you guys have seen, I think we're going to talk Saving Private Ryan at some point. In Saving Private Ryan, Spielberg used the same trick that the director of this film did, and they basically took a T-34, which is a Russian Soviet tank, and they built a false frame on it, a Tiger, to make it look like to make it look like a real Tiger One tank. Did the same thing in Saving Private Ryan. So for that's my nerdery for the day. So enjoy that fun fact. Fantastic film, absolutely not based on a true story, but everything is pretty authentic in it. So I'll give it to him, man. This kind of came out in the height of like, the more rebellious Hollywood era of like, the hippie movement and the peace, love, and all that stuff, Vietnam conflict. You can kind of see those vibes all colliding in with the different characters in this film. But my God, fantastic movie. And like this just screams like Dirty Enlisted. Every time I watch this film, they're always just figuring shit out and making it like this is the E4 mafia trying to rob the German army. Like that's
There
all
you
it is.
go.
It's
That's
just
it.
beautiful to watch, man. Fucking highly recommend it. Unfortunately, it's not available to stream anywhere, so you're gonna have to rent it. I think Amazon's got it for like $3.99. You can find it pretty much anywhere, man. But All Star Cast can't speak highly enough. Absolutely one of my favorite films, and near and dear to my heart because my dad.
Nice, man. I'll check it out. I have not seen it. So I'll definitely want to try to check that out, bro. There's
Yeah, I've
so
seen it.
many
It's good.
military movies out there that
Yeah.
touch
Yeah,
people for different reasons.
most
You want
definitely.
to go next, Coach?
Yeah, yeah. So, keeping in the line of heroes,
Oh
I got
man.
Hogan's Heroes.
Yes.
So this is one of my favorite shows from when I was a young guy. It ran from 65 to 71. You
Yeah.
can find it on Pluto TV, but essentially it's a bunch of, Army POW guys that are stuck in a German POW camp, and the entire time it's nothing but slapstick humor, and these guys essentially committing espionage and sabotage, inside of the camp, and but staying there. Could they really get out? They probably could, right? But it was just so much fun to watch this cast in their characters, just kind of running through the rigors, of these
We know
scripts that they were
nothing.
given. Yeah, Schultz. So yeah, it was just great, man. They
It's a
give you a
great,
couple names
great
out of
series.
it
Yeah.
that some of you guys, especially the older guys, might know. So Bob Crane, he was the
Oh, absolutely.
primary guy, right? Colonel Hogan, and John Banner, who played Sergeant Schultz. Let's see who else they had in there. Oh, Richard Dawson, right? Everybody's got to know Richard Dawson. There are a ton of actors and actresses. They're obviously a little dated given the era, but if you guys want to watch something that's old, and I think you can get a lot of it in color now. Some of the earlier episodes were black and white, but it was phenomenal, right? These guys are just POWs, and they were constantly sticking it to the Germans in there. At the same time, seeming as though they kind of befriended them just so they can get some of the stuff done, and like I said, running their own espionage campaign inside of there. So that's what I got for you guys.
That's a
Good
great
one,
pick,
man. I
bro.
like that. Yeah,
Great
I like
pick.
that. The lighter side of the military. All right. So my pick is probably, I would say, one of the most watched war movies of all time, and that's 1998 Saving Private Ryan. If you haven't
Yep.
seen this movie by now, I don't know how you avoid it really at this point. Like every Veterans Day, every Memorial Day, this movie seems to come on. You got Tom Hanks, Matt Damon, I'm sorry, the late Tom Sizemore, Barry Pepper, Giovanni Ribisi, really good cast. Paul Giamatti, Ted Danson, Bryan Cranston. Like there's so
Ed
many,
Burns
right? So many great actors in this film.
and
And
Vin
it
Diesel.
sets great actors, great
Yeah.
actors. I said great actors. Okay,
Oh, my bad.
right? No shame on you, Vin Diesel, man. Do your thing, bro.
Oh, lots of
Family,
shame on you, man. Your
family,
movies suck.
family first. All right, so this takes place World War II. I think the first 20 minutes of this movie kind of tells you everything you kind of need to know about that era and from the soldiers that were uh, from that era and what it really meant to kind of have a 50-50 shot. And that's being generous of whether this was your time or not. The scene where that wall come down in that ship and they're taking shot. I'm like, whoa! I'm like, I think it caught the entire audience off guard
Oh, yeah.
watching that scene. And every time you watch it, it's still just as like you're frozen in time in that moment, like what those guys must have felt. And to me, that was like probably the most realistic thing I could see in film. That I was like, wow, that like you're literally in those guys' shoes, like the angle of it, hearing those shots hit their bodies, like go over the side, and they're jumping in the water, they're drowning, just trying to get to the beach, going into the fire. Like now we lead with air attacks. Now air attacks come like what the very end, like airstrikes lead the way pretty much. Now they led with the boots on the ground, so these beaches were already like set up to take on these massive influx of soldiers, and they're taking heavy fire and everything, and getting blown up, and just watching them get to the beach, just watching them storm that beach, and literally like guys are just dying left and right. You seeing gruesome like legs being blown off, guy arm loses his arm, picks it up. Like that's the shock of war that I don't think a lot of movies at that point were really grasping. And I think with Saving Private Ryan, it kind of grasps that, the whole severity of it, the actual, the ugliness of it, and the how random, right? So you didn't know like who was going to make it, who wasn't, until you found out who our core of actors were. And then as they go through, they get a mission to go and get Private Ryan because his brothers were killed in the war. And now, of course, you have that thing. Well, why is he more important than us? Why is this guy so important? But that was the mission. Tom Hanks knew that this was the mission. This is what we have to fall out, and his guys followed him. For first, not really, wanting to get down with it, but then they realized, okay, this is what needs to be done. This is a new mission, and everyone got in on that mission. And when they get to him, when they get to Ryan, he doesn't want to go home. He wants to finish the fight. So now it's like, wow, we came all the way here to get you, and you don't want to go home. And then Tom Hanks' character kind of says, "Yeah, this is the original reason why we're here. So now we get to go back to the real reason why we're here, and that's to win the war." Um, I will say one of the scenes that stuck with me the most was with Giovanni Ribisi's character who played the medic when he dies in that firefight, and they're all sitting there like, "Tell us how to fix you." Like, what do we do? Like, he's the one that is usually in charge in that moment, and everyone's kind of like just like, "Oh man, like give him some more morphine." Like, "Hey man, like put this on." And he's just bleeding out, man. He's like, which hole's bigger than the other? He's trying to tell them how to do it, and he's just like, "Man, just give me more morphine." And because he knew at that point, like there's nothing else that's gonna save my life. But what made that particular scene important to me was, if you remember early in the film, when they're kind of having that moment where they're kind of talking about home, and he was like, his mom wanted to come in the room and talk to him. He said, "I acted like I was asleep." He was like, "I don't know why I did that." Like so that moment that he missed with his mother came back to him in that moment, and in his dying breath, he was calling for his mother. So I think that was what really hit home and showed us that even though we're soldiers, we are humans, and it's important to understand that you love your mother, you love your mom, you love your parents, you love your people. That's why you're over there fighting, because you love your people that are home. And it was an encapsulation of all those, emotions and effects at that time. And it just led the movie to everyone's pretty much, like dying. The battle scenes were incredible. Barry Pepper, the sniper, him, taking him out with his shots, and his face and all that stuff, and just watching these guys single-handedly, like fall. I mean, at the end of it, even Tom Hanks' character falls at the end, but the the goal was never lost. The goal was to win the war, and they still had to do what they had to do, even though they were taking massive casualties. And really, like, your chances of coming out of that were very slim to none. And at the very end of that movie, and when he's at Arlington Cemetery, and he asks his wife, "Tell me I was a good man,"
Oh,
like,
God.
because Tom Hanks, that has to stick with you. Earn this, earn this, earn this. That all those guys that just died here to come get you, earn it. That's a heavy burden for anybody to tell you, man, these guys did this for me. They gave their lives in the war, but it was for me. So the weight that man must have had for all those years, and just to hear it, just to hear from someone that says, "Tell me I was a good man," and that's like really what you strive for, what you want to be in life as a good man. And being a veteran, yeah, it kind of sets you on a good path for that. You are fighting with something bigger than yourself. You are willing to make sacrifices. You are willing to stand up when others can't or won't. So I think Saving Private Ryan is a great movie that encapsulates all that. Uh, it's a tough watch. Like I said, if you're not really into violent war movie, it's a tough watch, but it's a necessary watch. If you really do love veterans, get to know them. This is one way to get to know them. Get to see how, oh, okay, wow, like these World War II veterans, if you ever had a chance in your life to meet one, understand what they went through. Like, understand it. It's one thing to say it and to see it and say thank you for your service, but to really understand what they've gone through, you got to talk to them. So that's my pick, man. Saving Private Ryan. I don't mean to bring everybody down on that, but that film is really very important for me. That's my pick.
That's a great movie, man. I watched that movie when it came out with my dad. My dad and I used to go to movies a lot. It was about a year before he passed away. He was a career guy, and I never understood why he always got upset at the end of that movie. Did Vietnam and shit like that, and man, I get it now because I that scene chokes me up every time I watch it.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
that one scene too. It's not the rest of the movie is don't get me wrong, the rest of the movie is great. But that one scene, man, I you can feel it for anyone that's gone through that kind of shit before. You can just feel how much that weighs on someone.
Yeah, yeah. Just tell me,
Yeah,
I was a good man. Just tell me. That's it. I just want to hear it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
great
all
pick,
right,
man.
man.
It's
I
funny how
guess
we
that's
all
it.
ended up in World War II era with our picks.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, that
And
was
we
some
didn't even talk about it, right?
badasses.
We ended
I
up
gotta say it.
picking. Yeah, I
Badasses.
mean, there was some great stuff that covered that era, and hearts go out to the guys that served then and their families, especially.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right,
All right, well,
guys. Any
all right.
caveats?
No, I
Yeah, I
think
think
that.
round's complete on this end.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, once again, man, thank you guys. Happy Veterans Day again to all those who served. It was an honor to serve with you and alongside you before or after you. Um, so, Dick Nick Fury, be at the war out here.
Bad Broken Rambo out here.
Yeah, happy Vets Day, guys, out here.